Hey, good evening, everybody, and a very good evening, particularly to weight loss games. Nice that you're already in. So, guys, welcome to another late night stream of mine doing UBOAT. Continuing my long term playthrough through the whole war campaign, which I had started months ago in the year 39 September with the very start of the Second World War. And U-Boat yields a wonderful open world campaign where you can do kind of a free play through the whole war. Yeah, going along certain missions. Not completely free, of course. You get the missions from headquarters, but then what you do is very much open world. Okay, alright, so you do have a little bit of work ahead tomorrow morning. Yeah, so all the best luck with that, but nice that you drop in anyway. Yeah, that's the drawback when getting visited. Yep. Yeah. So let's get to the game. And yeah, of course, yeah, not for you, weight loss. You're perfectly, how would you say, well aware of what this game is about. But for anybody in the stream who might not, well, I started the game now something like, or not quite, 2.5 years ago in Wilhelmshaven with a small Type 2 submarine with low range, few torpedoes, low max speed. And yeah, then you can mission by mission walk through the whole war. And when you fulfill missions, at one point you get promoted and get the possibility to upgrade your boat. And now I am the proud captain of a Mark Type 7C, which is pretty alright. So here we are now ashore, out of the western, here in the western Atlantic, eastern coast of Canada. That's actually our missions at the moment. So after having done a lot of missions over here in the eastern Atlantic, now we are carrying the U-boat war towards the other side of the Atlantic. Yeah, we got the possibility to use milk cows and replace these milk cows, these large support submarines here in the middle of the Atlantic, and can use them to refuel. And this is actually what I'm doing right now. We had quite a successful mission. We entered into that port sneakily, sank 3 ships. On the way back yesterday we sank another ship around here, and now we are almost out of torpedoes, but we can rendezvous with this milk cow there and actually rearm, refuel, restock our food and everything. That's the mission at the moment. So nice weather, and by the way, the sea is completely flat. So if we look at the wind speed, it's just 4 knots, which is, yeah, almost nothing. So let's stop any non-standard orders, which means that Mr. Hinrich is going to get back to bed. The captain who was on the bridge with the binoculars, he's also going to bed, take some rest. And yeah, the only officer now is Mr. Grade. He's the officer of the watch at the moment, our chief engineer, and the captain also decided to stay on the bridge. And the other guy on watch is Mr. Preen at the radio and at the radar, passive radar detector, which is quite good to have because it gives you a bit of an early warning, quite some head start for air raids. Okay, yeah, I just had this kind of brief flash that I thought I might have forgotten to turn on the mic, but I didn't. Yeah, very good. So guys, let's briefly check our status. Reputation is pretty fine, discipline is high, although we have a fatigue level of 9 by now. This is because the crew is becoming in more and more dire need of shore leave. So probably when I get back after this long patrol here, they need some shore leave to remove the fatigue. But although, despite the fatigue, we still have a discipline of 100%, that's quite good. Fuel is roughly 80%, battery is recharging, and of course we are on the surface, so air quality is fine, and our budget is not an issue anyway. So, the stores. At the moment we have 3 different types of food, which is good, and that's probably one reason why my crew is still in good mood, in good spirits, because I use the varied dishes, which kind of counters the fatigue effect. But you see, in total, at the moment I am losing discipline slightly. And here, yeah, I do have a bit of different food still in the hold, so that should be pretty alright. The concept of the game is that you can offer the crew different types of food, which increases the morale, but for the cost of the overall usage of food. The burn rate of food totally increases when you offer different food. You in total burn more food than if you would just offer one type of food. That's the idea, actually. So, what else do we have? We can take a look at the bilge. Just a bit of water in the bilge, so we could order someone from the crew to turn on the pump. And yeah, now the torpedoes. What about the torpedoes? We still have one bow torpedo left, but of course one bow torpedo is a bit, not quite enough for an all-out assault onto a convoy. Maybe you could try to go for one single merchantman with that. And we still have our 2 stern torpedoes. And whenever I get hand on T5 torpedoes, I take them for stern torpedoes. The T5 with the PI4 pistol, they are the ones which are sound-seeking. So when there is an escort on your tail and you're still on periscope depth, you can fire one of these after the fire and forget principle, and they will relatively reliably home in onto the guy that is following you. And one hit for escort, one torpedo hit might just be enough to sink it and get it off your heels. So there we are so far. Yeah, everything's settled. So let's do some time acceleration. We are still close to the wreckage and somewhere behind. Yeah, we can briefly use the cinematic view and see that somewhere above. Okay, we are already too far away, obviously. Yeah, they're not visible anymore. There were the life rafts still afloat. But yeah, we gave them some food, which also increases our reputation. And the reputation points you actually need for research or for, yeah, getting certain favors at home from your offices. Now, that's the way we have to go to get to the milk cow. Let's do that right now. Yeah, we can't go full acceleration yet because we are still too close to the wreckage and the afloat rafts, life rafts, but now we can, so let's go. Now it's a little bit of change of watch. Change of watch. Every 4 hours we have the change of watch. And now when Mr. Trummel, our bosun, is on watch, he can't care for the engines, so send him to the navigation to make sure that our navigation doesn't drop too far down. So whenever it's his watch, I make him do the navigation. Would be nice if you could kind of make that more automatic. We can check what the priority is actually for the bosun. Here, Mr. Trummel, the chief bosun, he already has a priority of 9 onto the map. So, not quite sure why he doesn't do it. Don't know, maybe I should reduce this one. Going for watch. Let's try what happens if I put that down to 7 and keep it like that. Now it's nighttime. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, but this is something that I had to learn when I crossed the Atlantic in the game, that this time here given is not the local time, but it's the European time. Be it Berlin time or Greenwich, I don't know, but it's the European time, which means that when it shows 6 o'clock and in summer, we should already have the sun up over the horizon, because we are having the European time and we are far to the west. The sun is still down and sunrise is later and sunset is later as well. This is something that you have to heed. So my guess is that we have something like 4 or 5 hours of time difference to our European time out here off the Canadian coast. But we already see a hint of daylight coming up in the east. And let's see, they're beautiful. The moon sheds some light onto the sea. The point is that I am playing the game with maximum difficulty level, which also includes dark nights. And the dark nights actually imply, yeah, that you don't see much. So night missions are quite a challenge, and it pretty much makes a difference whether you have the moon shining or not. So without the moon, a night attack is pretty near to impossible, because you just can't figure out your targets. But with the moon you might give it a try, and like you see already here, it then quite makes a difference whether your targets are towards the moon or towards, the dark parts of the horizon. So all this is simulated so realistically that you have to take all that into account for your attack strategies. That I really love about the game. Yeah, meanwhile, now we have 10 knots of wind speed, and you actually see it that we are getting a slightly tougher swell, while before our little time acceleration the boat was going across a completely flat ocean, and now we are cutting through the waves. We are having some spray. Yeah, also this is what I love about the game, the graphics, graphical implementation. So let's carry on for another 4 hours. There we are. So we are just on the way, on time acceleration, to the rendezvous point with our milk cow to refuel and, yeah, in particular to rearm. By the way, we see that we have some fog by now, and this is what it looks like in foggy weather. So also this gives the whole thing a complete different situation when you do launch an attack in fog. Yeah, it's really like a gamble, like suddenly very close other enemy ships might just come up out of the fog and vanish in the fog again. And in foggy weather it's also pretty hard to acquire your targets, because when you play on high difficulty level it's vital that you observe your target for a while to extrapolate its course and its speed, or you just couldn't program your torpedoes correctly. And at night or in dense fog it's near to impossible to properly track your targets. And in the early war you could just dive into the center of a convoy and then turn up in the fog and start shooting at ships that are coming out of the fog, hoping, fingers crossed, that it wouldn't be a destroyer but it would be a merchantman. And nowadays there are too many merchantmen which actually have deck guns, so that's by far too risky. Hey, Bov Trouty, good evening, nice to have you in again. So, how was your day? How was your Friday? Hope you had a smooth rush out of the week into the weekend. Yeah, as I said, we are on the way to the rendezvous point with the milk cow. And let's see that we get there. Still trying to keep up a high navigation precision. That's why I manually put Mr. Trommel onto the navigation again and again. Would be nice if he would do that automatically. Oh, is it? Okay. Let me briefly check if there is anything extraordinary around here. But before, let's do another check. W218. Not that there is something like an upload or something. Yeah, nevertheless, let me briefly check whether I do have something going on in the background. No, it looks like I'm just using the usual bandwidth of the stream. Yeah, it looks alright. But nevertheless, I'm always thankful for any hints. So if you have just something that seems to be weird about the stream, I might not recognize it, and so I'm always happy to get the feedback from you. So I actually did have a weird effect right now, but yeah, should be alright. Should be alright. There we go. Middle of the night. Change of watch at 2 o'clock. And on we travel. So, Bob Trout here, did you play the game again? I mean, UBOAT? So I understood, yesterday I understood that you had some problems with bugs or something. And yeah, also struggling a bit in the beginning with all the kind of different settings and things that you have to heat. Yeah, okay, yep. One of these days, yep. I would prefer if Mr. Trummel would not go for the observation automatically, but for the map guy when I'm traveling. So let's see what if I further reduce his priority on that one to 5. Yeah, he would still not do it. Yeah, however, so let's do it like we used to do it manually. And there we go. Yes, for me, I did have a pretty busy morning, but the afternoon was relatively relaxed. So on Fridays, I do my home office day. And sometimes I also can do home office on Thursday, like yesterday I did. But on Friday, I usually have a bunch of meetings in the morning, which is quite alright, but also a bit stressful. Okay, now it's raining. We see it here from the symbol, and the wind is gaining speed, 19 knots. So yeah, this is how it looks like. When the weather is deteriorating. Yeah, all the types of different weathers that you can get, I quite love how they are graphically implemented. Okay, do I want to have... Okay, yeah, see, discipline is going down now. So I think I would still like to have the different types of food. Let's do that. Yeah, this fish we actually got from the sunken merchantman. Yeah, I have to think of that. I wanted to install that mod where you have realistic radio stations. Pretty much like that idea. Yes, right, yep. Could send one of the guys to play cards with the crew. Maybe I'm gonna send Mr. Trummel to play cards when it's his next watch. The captain has to go to bed anyway, he's very low in his fitness bar. What I quite like, listen to this sound. You really have the rain, you hear the rain hammering on the steel hull of your ship. I really like that one. That adds up to the atmosphere pretty nicely. Yeah, that's Mr. Grade and his two crew hands who are tending to the engines. And when I have one of my mechanical guys at the engines with additional 8 of the crew, I have some reduced diesel usage, by 30% actually. Yeah, well, on we go. Now I could send Mr. Trummel to play cards. Is it him? Okay, there he is. Yeah, now we see the arrow up. This gives us, yeah, see, fatigue is deteriorating more and more, so we are at -10. But playing cards gives me an additional +9, so that's quite alright. Another 4 hours until the next change of watch. Here we are. So it gave us 2 points of percentage up. Okay, my telephone just gave me notice. No idea why. Well, let's give it a save. Better safe than sorry. And let's carry on. Yeah, now again we have this effect. It's 10 o'clock in the evening. But the sun is still high over the horizon, so sunset will only be at 11 o'clock. And that's due to the time shift, not having local time here. Let's check that now. 11 o'clock. Okay, at 11 o'clock, sun is down. We are at the very end of July. July 42. Change of watch again. So, still 16 knots and not so good weather. By the way, when we have bad weather, we sometimes have a bit of water accumulating in the bilge, because each time some crewmate enters the boat, gets out or gets in, some water comes within. But oh yeah, obviously the rain has stopped and they are having the hatch open for better ventilation. Here you can click here, and then if you click it, you have it. And well, to keep it, I mean, in the standard arrangement you only have one, and when you click the other, the one vanishes. But yeah, that's right. And to be honest, I don't remember how I did that. Like, yeah, okay. So did you see? I did drag and drop it away from its original position, and then it is there at the same time. Like now I have this replaced, and I drag and drop it away, and then next time I can have all of them at the same time. No, please don't. I don't know, try. So as this is not related to any hard buttons on the keyboard, my guess would be that it also works for Xbox. Okay, yes. Now I did reset the orders. Let's have it like that. On we go, and soon we are entering that quadrant where I have put the milk cow. Let's see that we get well into the middle. Wow, see, now Mr. Trummel automatically went to the map table. That's exactly what I wanted to have. So it really does matter which priorities you actually set here. And yeah, you have to meddle around with it. My recommendation would be check a YouTube video and take a standard setting from there. I'm not quite sure whether the standard setting which you have from the beginning of the game as default, I'm not quite sure whether it's that good. And yeah, and then you can start fiddling around with it by yourself. But yeah, be careful. So just change one parameter at a time and just a bit, and then wait and see if it makes any difference. It's a bit tricky, I would say. Okay, here we are. Now we have quite a storm going on. It's 22 knots. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's raining. It's bucketing down. Okay, the fish is all eaten. If I would like to have a different type of food, I would have to use the vegetable. Don't want to use too much of the vegetable, because there's at least one mission where you need the vegetable to supply another submarine with it, which had a breakout of scurvy. So now let's man the radio and see if we get contact to the milk cow. Request. Request resupply. So let's keep fingers crossed. Resupply is currently possible at U491. Rendezvous coordinates are blah blah blah. Supply ship will wait there for 21 hours. Coordinates added to the map. Yeah. Very good. So you can turn in again at the moment. We don't need the radio manned all the time. Okay. There we are.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
That's where we are gonna go for the resupply. O'clock, well, not local 12 o'clock, but European 12 o'clock. And now we really have the maximum raging storm. 25 knots is the maximum that you get in the game. Wow. Yeah, and I read that with the next update, end of January, they even want to improve the waves a bit further. But yeah, look at this, I already love it. I love it how it looks like. Yeah, enormous swell. Yeah, just for fun, let's briefly try what happens when we go flank speed through these waves. Bilge is still dry. Wow, yeah, look at that. You could also do it like this and get an impression how it feels from the point of view from up here. Wow. Or we could send the captain up, give us just a little tour. Yeah, you can jump into the role of just any crew, or any officer actually. Let's cut up into the conning tower, that's the attack periscope, and here we have the torpedo computer. Should really close the hatch, and he does it automatically. There is this little thingy you can step on. It's a bit like these, bars that you have at a bar, where you can put your feet on. That's it, we are going flank speed in that storm. Yeah, I think in real life the waves out in the Atlantic in a maximum storm would be even larger and even longer, higher. Maybe they're gonna improve about that a bit. Yeah, out in the Atlantic you should have very, very long waves. And closer to the coast. The coast may be shorter ones, more choppy water. Yeah, that's it so far. Let's get back down. The hatch climbed down. And yeah, was closed by a crewmate, obviously. And yeah, let's check how much water we actually did take. Yeah, not much, obviously. So, Captain, you can turn in again. Thanks for the little tour. Yeah, let's get back to cruise speed. Yes, I have. I'm also doing YouTube in parallel. Yeah, yesterday the YouTube chat was even a bit chatty. Usually the YouTube chat is pretty quiet. This is why I've sometimes omitted, to be honest. I don't have both chats on one screen. I have to switch between the Twitch and the YouTube chat. Yeah, there are a few guys on YouTube as well. Great to have you in. Hi, hi. Yeah, so nobody please hesitate to comment onto the stream or just give me a hi in the chat. But yeah, you're completely anonymous, so don't worry, it's perfectly fine if you just watch. But yeah, as I used to say, you can make a little streamer like me even a little more happy by just dropping a hi into the chat or tell me what you think about the game, if you play it by yourself or just watch, if you're new or if you are an old salt. Yeah, here we are. We are just approaching our rendezvous point with the milk cow. We are still... Yeah, we actually did finish our patrol mission. We sank 10,000 tons pretty quickly. But now that we take all this effort to be out of the ocean, I would still refuel and go back into the mission area to continue and maybe sink a bit more tonnage to finally reach this goal of 200,000 tons here. Hey, der Fahne. Do I pronounce it right? Thank you very much for the follow. That's very much appreciated. That's great. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Nice to have you in, by the way. So I hope you're fine. Hope you had a good, rush into the weekend, out of the week on this Friday. Okay, there is one of these bots again about the best views. Do you see that as well in the chat? I think you do, right? These best views spamming bots. So, plan is to refuel, to get torpedoes back onto the ship and get some food back, and then go back to the coast and continue scanning the waters for enemy convoys or single merchantmen. Yeah, hey, thanks. Thanks very much. Yeah, that makes me happy if it feels like that for you. So this game is a bit of a chilly game because, yeah, it's very atmospheric, I would say. And yeah, it's no quick action game. It's no arcade. And there is times when you have quite some action, but there is other times where you just leisurely roam the sea. So let me do some time acceleration now and see that we get close to the supply ship. Yeah, the wind is getting lower, so it's only 15 knots. It was 25 knots and now it's only 15. And yeah, but still rain. But maybe we have a bit of a better visibility, which might help us to finally find that milk cow distance now. It's still so far away, still 15 miles, so let's accelerate and get close.
Mastspitze, kleine Gruppe.
Okay,
0 Grad.
that's
U-Boot, direkt
them.
voraus.
Yeah, submarine right ahead. Yeah, der Fahne. Yeah, you say good evening, so that sounds like you are also from this side of the ocean. So all you guys joining from the other side of the ocean probably still have afternoon, late or early afternoon, depending on where you live, west or east coast, or just in the middle of your continent. Okay, there we already have eyes on the supply ship with the binoculars. So there we are. Yeah, now here we have the contact here, and it says it's still too far, and when we are close enough we have to speed down, and then we can send an away team over there to get to resupply us. There we are. Okay, now we are close enough, but it says we are moving too fast. Yeah, let's see that we get close to the guys and
Alle Maschinen stopp.
stop. That's nice, isn't it? Two submarines meeting in the middle of nowhere in the far ocean, and let's hope that it stays like that. The worst thing that could happen would be an air raid, like just when we are rendezvousing here. There's also a guy on the bridge. Hey, hey, nice to meet you. Now let's send guys over to the other side. Send a delegation. So I usually send Mr. Grade, our chief engineer, Mr. Arles, our first mechanic, and Mr. Trommel, our bosun. And give them 6 hands, the maximum, so that might make things go faster. It's complete single player. It's it would be great to imagine that this would be a multiplayer, but it isn't. It's just single player, and I think it's gonna stay like that. If you want to play multiplayer, there's this other game, Wolfpack, that multiplayer simulation. Played it a bit, but it's pretty complex, and you need a few guys. So you jump into the role of the officers in that other game, and then you do multiplayer, and each of the players gets a role to do, and yeah, it's pretty tricky. You really have to do a lot of manual stuff. So this one here is a bit more relaxing and also gives a wonderful game feeling of immersion. Hey, aqua icing, great to have you in. They can go swimming, yeah. Yeah, the weather has actually been improving. We had a big storm with 25 knots just a few hours ago. And so we are lucky that now for the rendezvous we have pretty nice weather. Yeah, we can do this little chat, but okay, that's always the same. They could vary it a bit, but yeah, I don't care. And now see we can transfer survivors. That's good. So we had, how many? 7 or 8 survivors on board, so we released them, gave them to them, and that means that we have free space left. And for each of the survivors, we now will have gotten some reputation to have saved them. Yeah, aqua icing. How are you, by the way? How was your Friday? Hope you got a smooth go out of the week. And yeah, do you have a weekend or do you have to work tomorrow or on Saturday? Let's see the cargo now. So the items, yeah, some coffee. Seems like I used the coffee before to keep my crew awake. I hope aqua icing. I had that same thought right now because I didn't get any message. I still hope that I get the reward. Yep. You never get a message about that, right? Ah, nice. So, just the week or also next week? Now, most important thing, not to forget about the fuel and now the torpedoes. We can get 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, okay, it's pistol 1 torpedoes. That's a relatively old and unreliable pistol, but well, better than nothing. Yeah, nice. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's like, so I think it's the 19th, the Friday, December 19th. That's my last working day, and then I do have 2 weeks off as well. So we only get these 4 torpedoes. Now, what about the ammo? Yeah, we used the deck gun quite extensively. We have no deck gun ammo left, so I prefer the high explosive. Well, hey, shit. He doesn't have... He does have the air ammo and armor piercing, but no high explosive rounds. Well, okay, can't be helped. Then I take these, the armor piercing rounds. Hey, Holiday Punch. Nice to have you in. So I hope you're not sick with your back. Is it just that it's a bit overworked, or do you have some medical problems with your back at the moment? I know a few guys who really have some trouble. Slept wrong. Yeah, if it's only that. it should go away by its own. Yeah, I know a few guys who have some kind of a yeah. Now I'm missing the word for that one. Like when you have it regularly coming back and back again. Now the food. Canned bread, let's refill that. And yeah, let's take that just as well. They have bacon, exactly. That's great. And what about the equipment? Let's get the filters back refilled to the maximum 40. So that's good to have them. And it looks like the rest is alright. By the way, let's briefly shift to the submarine. What about the crew actually? I think put the cheese there, and then we can have some more food being stored. So guys, see their cargo, and now we have one slot left, and there we are gonna put some bread, fresh bread. That's great. So now it would take 5 days to get all that stuff on board, and that's the risky part actually. Back to the ship, and still we need these 5 days of being off duty. 2, 3, 4. And now let's briefly check if everything makes sense. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, okay, problem is that I don't have any free slot left now. I always like to have one slot in the inventory free for, yeah, moving things around. Some bacon finally, exactly. So here we are. And now let's give it a save, and I think we could now after the 5 days, that's a bit unrealistic. Now after the 5 days we can send some guys back over again and get 5 more torpedoes. And well, if I were mega maximum honest, I would not exploit that bug, but hey, come on, let's get 4 more torpedoes. In German we would say, lasst uns nicht päpstlicher als der Papst sein. Which is something like, let's not be more popey than the Pope itself. Probably a terrible translation. It's always not a good idea to try to translate idioms, actually. A bread bacon sandwich, yeah, exactly. So now get more. We even get a T5. So anything else? It's just the same stuff, only just the armor piercing. I think it's, if you want to sink a merchantman, it's better to fire on it with high explosive. And the armor piercing is more when you're firing at military targets, and this, particularly that late in the war, you would never want to fire with your deck gun on men of war. Let's make it 100%. Yeah, that's it, right? Fuel is full, torpedoes. Return to the ship and one more day. Let's give it another save. And shall we repeat it once more? Yeah, come on, let's do it. And send the delegation again. Our bosun, our chief engineer, our first mechanic, and our bosun, and 6 crew hands again. And get there. And yeah, there we even see the Zodiac with the guys coming over. Now what would I do? Take this one. Take this one. Well, if I can get it, let's get another T5 PI4. So, well, what about the ammo? Yeah, it's still only the armor piercing and the air ammo. All right. Return to the ship. And another day to stow away the stuff. And meanwhile, the weather has turned to being pretty rainy. And let's go.
Halbe Fahrt voraus. Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Let's get back to the mission area. Here, Operation Drumbeat. It's these quadrants, CA, CB, BA, BB, DA, DB, and DC. And any ship that we sink in these quadrants will account for the tonnage in this Operation Drumbeat. And yeah, that's now, we already did 50,000 tons, 100,000 tons gave us this checker here, and now we have to reach 200,000 tons. That's the next milestone, but we are already almost half through from the 100,000 to the 300,000.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Bestätige. Kurs setzen.
Alright, there we are. Let's get back. What was it? BB?
Kurs setzen.
Let's check it once more. BABB. So let's get there. So maybe by now we could remove these marks. Yeah, this is also a sign that I'm playing on rather high difficulty level, almost maxed out the difficulty. And that means that you don't have the enemies automatically being displayed on the map, but you actually have to do that tracking of the enemies manually by yourself. So give it the final save after having reloaded and get back to the target area. And after that one, so now let's get back once here and let's hope that we find some nice large convoy, empty our torpedoes, and then get back home to the other side of the Atlantic. The crew here, you see we are already almost a month out at sea, 27 days. And yeah, the crew is having a fatigue level of 13 by now. That's getting more and more tough. Yeah, let's see how we can handle that. I think I'm gonna offer more food, more different types of food. Yeah, have it like that. 4 different types of food. So that should help. So this gives us, yeah, we have a base value of +1. Yeah, that's alright. By the way, what is the status of the crew specialization? Yeah, okay. We still need some experience. Each time when the progress bar is at 500, I could train one more of the crewmates in one of these special abilities. Fast diving, silent running, or discipline. And like this here, discipline, if you have the more guys you have trained in discipline, the less impact fatigue has, or the more you can kind of counterweight bad moral effects. So now, next mission is, yeah, we have 24 knots of wind speed again. Pretty ugly weather. So guys, get back. I want to have you at the map, Mr. Trummer, to increase the navigation correctness. There we go.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloi.
Yeah, now that's comfortable. Now it seems like he's doing that automatically. Change of watch. So Mr. Grade took over from Mr. Arlos. They both can handle the engines, and when our third watch officer, Mr. Trummel, takes over, he can't handle, he's the bosun, he can't work the engines. So he will do other things like being on watch on the conning tower or improving our navigation correctness. On we go. 6 o'clock, change of watch again, and Mr. Trummel at the map. Very good. Yeah, I always manually address these additional crewmates so that I can really take advantage of this reduced fuel usage. Talking about a bread bacon sandwich.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Jawohl, Herr Kaloi.
No, I got it. Yeah, so it's really worthwhile to meddle around with these priority settings now and then.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Wird erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Shall I give it another save? There we go.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
4 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning again. Yeah, it's still pitch black. So local time is much earlier. So it's maybe not 6 o'clock in the morning, but more something like 1 or 2 o'clock at night. And then we have that rainy weather, so in this weather you have minimum visibility. And also the radar doesn't work properly, or the radar detector doesn't work properly in this weather. But we are approaching our target area again. So the sun is up, at least the sun thunderstorm has stopped, but it's raining. And what about the food? Yeah, looks alright. Okay, the discipline is at 92, so it is still going down. Yeah, we had some neglected food preparation, don't know why. Maybe, I don't know, could it be that when the weather is too bad, that the food preparation would stop? Never had that actually in the past. Yeah, right. I should do that, but at the moment... Yeah, maybe Mr. Drummer. Yeah, it's still alright. Yeah, next watch. Oh, I could also do it right now. Yeah, good point. Mr. Drummer. Why is he not doing that? Ah, yes, okay. So I don't know, why is the cook not... Now and then the galley is not operated, don't know why.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloi.
Yeah, why not?
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Captain, if you don't mind, let the captain have a play of cards. So if he arrives, now we have positive overall. Yeah, the arrow is pointing into the right direction now. Discipline going up.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloi.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
So we are back in the area. Let's carry on for a little while and then... by the way, the captain should take a rest again. So we have brought the discipline pretty far up by playing a bit of cards with the crew. Good hint, Boff Trouty. Okay, now we have the maximum increased moral by the varied dishes. That's good. It sometimes drops when the galley is not operated properly. Not quite sure why this happens now and then. By the way, guys, I see the number of watchers going up. So don't worry if you just want to lurk anonymously, that's perfectly fine. I wouldn't even see who you are. But I always like to encourage you to take part in the chat, so you could make a little streamer like me a little bit more happy. If you would give me some feedback in the chat, what you think about the game. Do you play it by yourself, or are you just watching, or are you new and want to, well, have some questions about, yeah, the one or the other feature of the game is maybe a bit complex, or are you an old salt just interested in sharing some some good stories that you ran into in the game. Yeah. However, don't feel pushed. Just watch if you just enjoy to watch. So, to briefly summarize, as you see, we are already 2.5 years into the war, and we fulfilled plenty of missions around here in the North Sea, in the Eastern Atlantic, and by now we were progressing. Now we do have milk cows available, the supply submarines, so that we actually can do the jump across the Atlantic, refuel here in with our milk cows, and then get into mission areas. Here at the moment we are part of Operation Drumbeat, Operation Paukenschlag it was historically, and to sink tonnage in these areas here. So I just came back, so we already sank a lot of ships. This is why we don't see the mission area marked anymore, because we already fulfilled it. But still, I went back to the milk cow and rearmed and refueled, and now we are going back because, yeah, we want to sink as many ships as possible, because the whole passage is pretty much of an effort to get back and forth across the Atlantic. So when we have done that trip, we should really make use of that. Let's carry on a bit into the mission area, and then let's do a hydrophone check.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
So here we go. Now it's 2 o'clock. It's night time. I'm playing almost maximum difficulty level, which also means that I am playing with dark nights, which we have here. And yeah, now hydrophone check means that the crew brings the boat down to 50 meters. Here you see Mr. Trommel opening the valves, so that now the ballast tanks are going to be flooded with water. There you see the water rushing into the fore ballast tank. And you also see the off-watch crew being assembled in the front torpedo room to get additional diving ballast to get down as fast as possible. Yeah. Most of the officers are on off-watch at the moment.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Only Mr. Grade being the officer of the watch and Mr. Hinrich being the officer of the radio at the moment.
Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 300 Grad.
We have
25
contact, so let's give it a save at that point. A contact, that's good. So Mr. Hinrich at the hydrophone. And there we have it. He says it's a single unit. It's moving medium speed and it says that it is closing in. So that's relatively rough information, and this is what I also love so much about the game, that you really have this fog of war, that information are vague and unprecise pretty often, like it would have been in real life just as well. So let's mark this one on the map. Single 01, let's call it like that. It says that it is moving towards us, but this could just be anything around these headings. But now first assumption is that it's just an ordinary merchantman. It would go with 8 knots. So if this was the basic assumption, would mean that after 1 hour the ship must be somewhere on this circle. So now we are changing course as soon, well, we are finishing the hydrophone check. That's 5 minutes down here. Silently listening just in case that there might be some other contacts around. Then after 5 minutes the crew will bring the boat back up to the surface. That's a standard routine. When you order hydrophone check, you don't have to do all that micromanagement, but the crew is just doing that. They implemented that a long time ago, this button here, and I pretty much like it. I think the balance between actually being in command and not being forced to do all the micromanagement, this balance is beautiful in the game. So here we are silently listening to crewmates at the depth steers. We do have a bit of water in the bilge, but not too much. Also one of these nice little details. Even if you don't have a leak, you have a little tickling of water into the boat, either through the main hatch or when you're submerged. One major, well, let me not call it major, but one little leak that you standard-wise have is the shaft, the drive shaft. So when you're deep underwater and are going with high speed, you have quite a bit of a flow of water coming in via the drive shaft. So it's not dramatic, but if you stay underwater for hours, then at one point it really starts to matter and you have to get it out again. But when you're very deep, the pump doesn't really work anymore. Like here, we already have a decreased efficiency of 25% roughly, only at 50 meters. And if you're down at something like 130 meters, the efficiency of the pump against that outer pressure is very much reduced, and it takes ages to get the water out. And on the other hand, the pump makes a hell of a noise. So when you still have men of war escorts cruising on above your head, searching for you, depth charging you, you would not like to turn on the pump. So all these things are giving quite a nice feeling about the game, I would say. So no other contacts, obviously, so I guess the 5 minutes are over soon. And there we are.
Aktuelle Tiefe 40
Mr.
Meter.
Trummel now switching the valves, so now we are pushing compressed air into the tank and pushing the water out. This enormous amount of water, you would never be able to pump it out. It would take ages, and so the technological trick is to store compressed air and push the water out with the compressed air. And that works pretty perfect at 50 meters. And when you're down at 200 meters, it's pretty inefficient, because then your compressed air has to work against that enormous pressure out there. And you usually just get a bit of water out, or put it the other way around, you need much more of your compressed air to get the water out of your tanks than when you do it at just 50 meters. So here we are. So what's the idea now? We're going to flank speed, and we are heading straight for that contact, hydrophone contact, and now we go for 1 hour, and after 1 hour we are going to do the hydrophone check again, and then we get a second data point, and then we know their rough direction and we know their rough speed, because after 1 hour they have traveled this and that number of miles, and so we have their speed directly. Let's just see when we are moving. We are probably at flank speed. We should be moving with something like 17 knots. So in 1 hour, we would end up here. 17 knots means 17 nautical miles in an hour. So after 1 hour, we are there. And if they are moving with some assumed 8 knots, they must be somewhere on that circle. As the hydrophone guy said, they were moving towards us, they must be somewhere here. But never sure, might also be that it's a craft which is moving much faster. We will see. So give it a save at that point and carry on. By the way, just seeing that there are a few more people joining the stream. Thanks for being in. It's a pleasure to have you. And yeah, for a little small streamer like me, it's always nice to have a few people watching like now. So if you just want to lurk, that's perfectly fine, but rest assured that you can make a little streamer like me even more happy if you would put something into the chat, just a hi or just a comment on what you think about the game, or just start a chat just about anything. Yeah, by the way, this is the nice thing about this game, that you have these periods of leisure time. It's not all action all the time, so it's a good streaming game. If streaming is not just about doing the game itself, but for me streaming is actually also a bit about communication. So I'm very happy that we are a little bunch of people here coming back again and again into the stream, and I very much enjoy the little chats that we have all the evenings. Yeah, like Aqua Icing, Holiday Punch, and Weight Loss are guys which are accompanying this stream since quite a long time. And like Bob Trouty, pretty glad to have you in. I think you joined just yesterday or a few days ago. Or Defane, yeah, just joined something like an hour ago. Beautiful guys. It's a pleasure. So, Aqua Icing, what's the question mark about? Very happy to have you in again and again. No question. Yeah, I was just saying that there is a few guys who are accompanying my streams since quite a while, and I'm always happy to have you in the stream and have a little chat with you. That was just like yeah, saying me that, let me say that to convince other guys to also be a little bit chatty in the chat. So guys, let's do the hydrophone check. It's still complete night, so no chance to see anything. Let's do the second hydrophone check. Yeah, here we see Mr. Schneider. He was just doing the maintenance on the torpedo. And yeah, well, I have to admit that I try to avoid night attacks. I really try to avoid night attacks, particularly in this weather like we have it right now. And I hope that maybe it will be daylight before we approach that ship. We will see. Okay, yeah, you do it the other way around. But, well, I personally really have troubles in figuring out where the targets are, what their course is when I do night attacks. Maybe let's...
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
And down we go. Now we get the second data point. When we are back to the surface, remind me that I need to turn on the pump briefly. Yeah, on night attacks I always have the trouble with kind of predicting the enemy course and distance and things like that. Particularly, I mean, if I observe a convoy for a while with a hydrophone, I could well extrapolate their speed and course. But the distance, that's really the trick, which is pretty hard to do at night, to determine the distance with the steady meter.
Herr Kapitän, aktuelle Tiefe
Okay.
50 Meter.
Looks like they're moving even much slower. That's weird. That can't really be that they're going that slow. That would mean that they're going just with 4 knots. Nah, that's not possible. That must be a mistake, I don't know. But nevertheless, let's go on to this course and assume that somehow, whatever the speed theirs is, that we can intercept them. Go in this course. Yeah, that's... Yep. Yeah, you're also playing the game in this kind of very patient and realistic way.
45 Meter.
Like tracking the target for a while to make sure about their course and then hitting at night. Yep, sounds also pretty reasonable. And so I never played later in the war than this, so I never went that far into the war like I'm doing right now in this campaign. And I just know from your reports, some of you guys actually did the complete walkthrough until the end of the war, that it becomes harder and harder. And maybe that would also make you do the night attacks later in the war. Yeah, well. Yeah, let's nevertheless, although now we are keen on cutting their way off, let's nevertheless do the 5 minutes of hydrophone check.
Herr Kapitän,
Just to be sure, you never know, there could be other ships around. Yeah, that's the point about the planes, yeah. Yeah, up to now I never much had that feeling that there was much of a communication. So what I would like, yeah, or where would I would say what would feel pretty realistic would be if you attack a convoy or a single ship and then they radio for support, and something like half an hour later you would have air support around searching for you. And this direct interaction doesn't seem to take place, or maybe it does later in the war. Yeah, using the snorkel, yeah. But also later in the war, when you're out at sea, it's maximum 1 or 2 planes at the same time, right? I think you only get these large bunches of airplanes, like 6 or 5 or 6 or 7 airplanes at the same time, only when you're close to harbors, right? So that's the air raids onto the harbor towns. But I guess they get better, right? And get better armament. So up to now, when I just got attacked by 1 or 2 airplanes, I was easily able to shoot them down with my flak. But I guess, yeah, from what you said in the past, that it becomes more and more difficult to do that. Yeah, that's what I think as well. It's only the port raids that have these large groups of airplanes. All right, there we go. Back to the surface. Here we come. Mr. Schneider obviously is going to open the valves of the compressed air, and here we see the compressed air starting to empty the ballast tanks. We also have that one in the back, so you see the amount of water in the ballast going down, and here we see the amount of compressed air, or the pressure of the compressed air is going down as well. And the deeper you are, the more compressed air you need to get the same amount of water out. And that's wonderful that they have. I mean, it's pretty straightforward from a physics point of view, but it's just great that they implement these things and that it's really kind of palpable. Yes, you're right. Wouldn't be realistic, probably. At sea, these patrols would only be in pairs. That's kind of realistic. But also this is something that would be nice if, and I think they haven't yet implemented it, that when you have an aircraft carrier in a convoy, that it could actually spawn airplanes. Could it? At least up to now, I never really experienced it, and I don't remember that I saw anything like that in any stream that I watched. Yeah, that would be great if they could. Actually, I didn't run into many carriers since I play the game, and yeah, usually I was submerged then, and so, well, maybe they just didn't spot me. Isn't it like in the Scapa Flow mission, that in the Scapa Flow mission you have an aircraft carrier and a battleship, which are lying there idly? Still limited to 1 or 2, yep. Yeah, I mean, the game is great, but there is still also potential to make it even greater. Oh, shit. Yes, okay, yeah, now let's go on. So, but, come on, I really can't believe that they're just going with something like 4 knots. So what would it be like? 4 astronauts and us moving in like that. 9 miles. Let's go flank and go in and do another hydrophone check in something like 20 minutes. Give it a save. Ah, yes, I wanted to turn on the pump. Let's do that right now.
Netzpumpe einschalten.
Hey, Quinton Gill. Sorry, guy, I did neglect the YouTube chat again. Yeah, but that's quite some time ago. I think in one mission somewhere last week or at one point I had this court-martial guy, right? And what actually happens is he gets arrested when you get back to Homeport and gets into prison. And after a few months you used to get them back. And that probably also happened here with that court-martial. Nice, nice. Yeah, quite a few people also in the YouTube stream. Yeah, sorry guys, I just didn't check the chat. So, but nevertheless, don't hesitate, please, to put feedback into the chat. I'm pretty glad that you, Quinton Gill, that you're still there. I'm still not sure whether I do pronounce your name properly. I fear not. So let me excuse for that in advance. And yeah, you guys on the Twitch stream, the Twitch people are usually much more talkative, which I pretty much like, but of course it's perfectly fine also if you just watch. But let me encourage you to use the stream, participate in our little chat here if you like to, or give me a follow if you like what you see. Okay, just briefly check the figures of the stream. Yeah, Quinton Gill, yeah, you're still there. That's great. Yeah, it has fewer ads, right? Yep. But yeah, of course, I'm particularly happy about people who are watching me on Twitch, because on Twitch I am actually an affiliate, so I'm not getting rich with it. But it's always nice to see that there is something like, after a big stream, there is something like 20 cents being accounted for it onto my account. So yeah, you really need different numbers. If you have something like 2, 3, 4, 500 people in your stream, then Twitch might start to make you rich. But like for me here, it's just like, in the past it was something like every 4 or 5 months that I got transferred just a few bucks to my account. But still, that's kind of, yeah, this kind of positive feedback in a way as well. It's kind of positive feedback in a way as well. So we are moving. I said I wanted to move for something like 20 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, come on, we need to do another hydrophone check. I really don't trust that hydrophone check that we had.
50
let's do another one. Hey guys! More and more people coming into the stream. Nice to have you in. As I said, you're completely anonymous and you can stay like that if you like, but feel invited to join this chat and comment on the game, on yourself, on my stream. Always curious what your experience with this game actually is. Now we are doing another hydrophone check. Probably the valves are already open. Yeah, ballast tanks are filled. And depth steers are manned, and down we go. Yeah, we got rid of the water in the bilge because we turned on the pump for a little while. And here we are now, getting back down again. So as soon as you get away from the noisy surface of the sea, the waves and the wind and the weather, down here the hydrophone develops an enormous detection range. So yeah, you might probably be aware of that fact, that sound travels enormously fast and over enormous distances underwater, and this we can make use of, like having this tremendous cone, like here, more than 90 miles. Okay, well, I have to admit, I do have a improved system already, so I did some development. But even with the standard hydrophone that you have in the beginning of the game, you have this range of 70 miles. So you would just recognize any moving propeller in this range when you're down here. And yeah, okay, if it's bad weather, if you have a storm up there, this kind of reduces the range, which is just fair. Okay, there is the guide. Hey, it really looks like it's moving with 4 knots. Come on. What kind of ship is this moving with 4 knots? I'm very curious. It's 3 o'clock by now. The sunrise will be only at something like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So it pretty much looks like this is gonna be a night approach. Mr. Henrich at the listening station. Yeah, even here at 50 meters now and then you hear that creaking of the superstructure of the hull under the pressure. I mean, even at 50 meters, the pressure is enormous. Already. Yeah, I used to finish the hydrophone check even though we already detected what we wanted to detect. I still used to do the 5 minutes of that standard workflow hydrophone check, just to be sure that there is nothing around that we miss. Yeah, in the darkness of the night, you just don't see anything underwater. Yeah, you see the propellers are resting. And after 5 minutes down here, the crew is gonna turn on the electric engines again and bring us back to the surface. That's the standard procedure of hydrophone checking. I am very surprised that there is a ship which seems to be moving with 4 knots. Maybe it's damaged. Could it be that it was damaged by another German submarine? These things can actually happen in the game. It's also adding to the open world feeling that you have these other German submarines operating all over the map independently. And sometimes just by chance you meet them. Sometimes you even see them fire. Yeah, you wouldn't actually see the torpedoes, but you can finally see the result that I once had it that I wanted to torpedo a ship, and before I could, it was torpedoed by another German submarine from the other side, approaching from the other side. And of course that was kind of ugly, because then we didn't score the tonnage, but on the other hand, that's beautiful to see how kind of interactive the open world in the game actually is. There we are getting up. Getting back up to the surface. Ballast tanks being blown, so when you have blown all the water out of the ballast tank and air back in the ballast tanks, the boat actually pops up like a cork. Maybe not quite as dynamic, but in principle it's like that. Then we have loads of buoyancy. Here we are. Back to the surface. By the way, what's the discipline? Yeah, discipline is alright. What about the food? Food in the galley. Yep, everything alright. Here we are. What's the maintenance status of the torpedoes, by the way? Okay, they might need... Yeah, here, Mr. Schneider is actually working on torpedo from tube number 4. No. Okay, we are approaching on them. It's 4 o'clock, roughly 4 o'clock. But yeah, it's still far away from sunrise. And what about the weather? Yeah, it's clear weather. We are heading south. So to the left of us on port side. Yeah, but there is still... Yeah, not yet any hint of the rising sun in the east. Yeah, it's... No, the year is getting onwards. It's already the 10th of August by now. So the days are gonna get shorter again. So another hour and they should be there.
Halbe Fahrt voraus. Kurs setzen.
So what's our distance at the moment from them? 6 miles according to our figures. Now we would be moving with 10 knots. And what if we
Langsame Fahrt voraus.
go to langsame Fahrt? What would be our speed then? Let's see that. Maybe 8 or 9 knots. Hi guys, great to have you on the stream. Only see the number of watches going up. It's so nice. Always glad to have you in. But yeah, keep in mind you're completely anonymous. Don't feel observed just because I say hi. You are anonymous. Don't know who you are as long as you are not participating in the chat. Of course, I would love to also greet you in the chat, but don't feel pushed. Just lurk and watch if you like. Perfectly fine. Just glad to see a few people caring and watching. Now going with 8 knots. 1 hour. Half an hour would bring us here. Yeah, we are still going too fast. Let's reduce speed further. Now we are going with 4 knots, so 1 hour would bring us there and would bring them there. Then I would be pretty far ahead of them. Yeah, let's do that.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
Yeah, I'm even moving faster than 5 knots.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet. Torpedorohr 3 gewartet.
Very good. Okay, half an hour brings us here, and he would be there. By the way, it's 4:30. Let's see if we get some greetings from the rising sun already. I mean, it wouldn't rise yet, but it might shed some light across the horizon already, but it doesn't. Definitely doesn't yet. Yeah, despite what you say, Aquizing, I'm still hoping for the daylight. Let's go on. Another half an hour would bring us then to yes, to our next waypoint here, what we determined by that reckoning, and then we should be more or less exactly on their course. But I would try to verify that with another hydrophone check. I think, meanwhile, they are even doing long-range, large-scale convoy zigzagging. In the beginning of the war, zigzagging was only taking place when they started to spot you on close distance, and then they would do some kind of wiggling of the helm to and fro to avoid torpedoes and make it hard for you to aim. But I think meanwhile, it's like being 2.5 years in the war, the convoys are actually doing large-scale zigzagging on the map, which is historically accurate that they did that. And this is also making it more difficult to follow a convoy. But now let's do our
Tauchen auf 50
next hydrophone check. So it's 5 o'clock, and there's still no any hint of light on the horizon. Yeah, there you see the crew assembling in the front compartment to give additional front ballast for diving.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
We hear the ship pretty clearly by now.
330 Grad.
There it is already.
Meter. Herr Kaloy?
Uh-huh. Okay.
35 Meter.
How could that be? 1 hour. So it seems like the ship is speeding up by now. It has changed speed, definitely. Maybe it was damaged and they repaired it by now.
45 Meter. Torpedorohr 3 gewartet.
Maybe I would like to switch torpedoes, but that's not possible. As long as we don't have any free slot in the stores, we can't change the torpedoes. Now I would be happy if I had one of these T5 torpedoes in the tubes. But yeah, that's it. I could not. Or could you?
45 Meter.
Herr Kapitän.
Nah, you can't, which is only realistic.
Meter.
So the guy is there.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloy?
And it's moving on. Six cables. 10 minutes, 1 mile. So 1 hour, 6 miles. Yeah, well, that's at least a realistic order of magnitude.
Äußerste Kraft voraus.
Go flank, and the distance now is 1 mile. So at night, probably still out of range. We will see.
Auf Seerohrtiefe.
That's good.
Herr Kaloy, wir
Periscope
sind
depth.
aufgetaucht.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
So now please somebody on the bridge. Let's give it a save, of course. If it is an armed transport, I am well in firing range by now. There it is. There it is. So we can get this red filter helping us a bit.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
I wonder if I should try to track it down with the deck gun. There it is. What kind of ship is it? So this is it. This is why I hate night attacks. Give 2 more sails so that
Wenn sich die Sonne neiget, der feuchte Nebel steiget, mein Tagwerk ist getan,
yeah,
mein
great.
Tagwerk ist getan.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
So I don't know, should we start to fire at it with the deck gun? Maybe it's still a bit far away for that. Guys, no ship around. Is it there? No. In the darkness you can't even read the numbers. Hey, yippee yap. Nice to have you in. Good evening. Well, at least around here it's evening. It's night, actually. At your place, not yet. So, good afternoon. Nice to have you in. How was your day? Hope your Friday was alright. Nice to have you in, by the way. So we are just following one. Obviously it's a merchantman. We follow it in the darkness. So what's the weather in your place right now? What's your temperatures? Around here we had it pretty cold, but if we talk about pretty cold, it's something like 0 degrees Celsius. Now we get this trouble. Yes, about far. Thank you very much. Yeah, you give it in degrees Celsius. Yep. I always have, sorry guys, but I have to admit that I always have big troubles with the Fahrenheit scale. So what would it be in degrees Celsius? Could anybody calculate it for me? So that ship was moving with something like 4 knots for a while, and now suddenly it looks like it has sped up. And at the moment it's pretty hard to identify it. Yes, yeah, Enotic. Yeah, that's same for me. It's around here, it's 2:30 in the morning. I am streaming from the, Germany, as you hear from my accent, probably. And I am situated in the Frankfurt area. So I guess we have similar time when you say it's Saturday morning. Or maybe you're even a little bit further ahead. So, do we really gain on that guy? I think we do. I think he's still not moving much faster than us. Probably he's going with 8 knots or something now. And we are going with roughly 16 or 17 knots. We are going flank speed. And yeah, what do you guys think? Should I try to start to shoot it down with the deck gun? Or should I do the sneaky thing and circumnavigate it and kill it with a torpedo? I mean, this single one at the moment, I feel like it would be a bit of a waste of a time to do all this circumnavigating it. I could just kill it with a few rounds, but I'm not quite sure how good my aim would be under these night conditions. Okay, all right. So you are ahead. And you do have school at Saturday. Interesting. We don't have school on Saturdays here in Germany. Yeah, I'm doing the Type 7. Okay, yeah, -3 degrees. Around here it's a little bit warmer. I mean, by now I think it's maybe something like 5 or 10 degrees outside, but it was something like 0 degrees the last days in the morning now and then, which is pretty cold. Around here we don't have it that cold usually. Well, guys, there is wine growing around here in this region of Germany, so it can't be that cold. So, yeah, let me give you the big picture. We are in August of 42, so already more than 2.5 years into the war, and I'm doing the complete playthrough, having started with the Type 2 in Wilhelmshaven in September 39, and Yeah, haven't done all the missions, haven't been promoted to get the type 7. Finally, now the type 7C. Also doing this Black Pit mission, and now I'm doing the across the Atlantic Operation Drumbeat thing. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, it works still. Yeah, of course, I mean, it depends on if you have some strong change between summer and winter, you could still have warm summer, which is suitable for wine, right?
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
If you consider that we are going flank speed with 16 knots, we are not gaining that fast on the guy. I think we are. If I had a Mark 5, Type 5 torpedo in the tubes, that one with the sound-seeking pistol, I would fire it on that one. That would be a beautiful case for using the torpedo on a ship. Okay, I don't know actually. Could we kind of... I think there is not really any tool of communication. You could make a photo and upload it probably. You could make a photo and upload it into the chat with your smartphone. I think that should be possible. Yeah, you make me very curious. Time of the day by now. Yeah, 5:20 in game. Yeah, that's so fascinating about streaming. Now we have communication here with guys who already have the next morning and have to get up, and other guys who are still living in the yesterday and have something like, yeah, afternoon, mid-afternoon, or maybe late afternoon, something like that. So any guess what that ship is like? It's always hard to identify a ship from this angle, from abaft or from astern, a stern or a fore, and it's particularly difficult in the darkness. I think we are gaining on them.
Kurs setzen.
Hey, Bricksmack. Sorry, yeah, that's always my problem, that I don't constantly have an eye onto the YouTube chat. I hope you're still there. 4 degrees. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I haven't ever been living in Munich, but I think it's a nice town, yeah. The towns I had been living in Germany, it's yeah. Frankfurt, actually I live a little bit out of Frankfurt. And Yeah, I've been living in Cologne for a little while, and I've been living in Berlin for 5 years, and for 4 or 5 years in Stuttgart, something like that. Roughly, that's the towns that I know, the cities that I know in Germany, and Düsseldorf, of course. That's the area where I originally come from. From a pretty large town, still close to Düsseldorf, north of Cologne. So, Munich I just know from visiting friends. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, yeah. So, many time zones together. Just our friends from Australia, they would probably not be in at that time. So, yeah, that's something that I see, that I never have Australia, or very, very rarely do have Australian guys in the chat. So now the target is already, we are short of, just before getting into range to signal them to stop. Shall we try that? Shall we try if we can make them stop and surrender? Yes, please do. Don't know if I am the typical German, if you really want to have the answer from the point of view of a German, but yeah, you make me curious. On your question, I mean. Give it one save. They still haven't yet spotted us, I think. Yeah, it's 9 knots, so the weather is relatively calm. Yeah, I never did something like that. I just thought it might be like you could maybe just drag and drop it into the chat line of Twitch. If you make the photo and then upload it from your telephone to your machine, or I don't know whether you are watching from PC or watching from your telephone.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Actually, if you have the photo available, then maybe just drag and drop it into the chat line. I don't know, that would be my guess, but as I said, I never tried it. So guys, now happy guessing. Anybody who could start guessing what type of ship this is? Yeah, as you see, I'm playing with relatively high, almost 100% difficulty level, which implies it's a Swiss ship. It's a Swiss ship, Xantis. Xantis, it's a mountain actually. It's named after a Swiss mountain. In Berlin, I've been living in, close to the Xantis Street. Funny. That's funny. I was just talking about my time in Berlin, and we had been living. Yeah, the next road around the corner was the Xantis Street. Funny. So, all the streets in this quarter were named after Swiss mountains or mountain ranges or something.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
So let's see if we can make that Swiss ship. Yeah, they need to stop. We will make them stop, and then we're gonna send an inspection team and check whether they do have any forbidden stuff on board. Any war relevant stuff. So the Swiss ship is neutral, of course, so we couldn't sink it right away, but if we find some suspicious stuff on board, we could still sink it when they are transporting contraband. So let me save the game at that point once more and say hello to Repton. Nice to have you in. Good evening. Well, at least around here it's evening. Don't know what time you have at your place. But anyway, have a good day. Nice to have you in. Okay, you are learning German at school. That's great. So Baden-Baden, I don't know. I've never been to Baden-Baden, and it's not the place that I would want. I would be eager to go. I think it's all right, but well, if you ask me, there are other cities in Germany which are more worthwhile to visit. Whatever you want to do. If you want to see some history or museums, or if you just want to party or just relax, shopping. So, I don't know, Baden-Baden is a city which is kind of, yeah, doesn't ring a bell with me, actually. But it might be great, I don't know. So I hope that now there is nobody from Baden-Baden in the stream and I'm pissing you off. Sorry, guys, from Baden-Baden. Yeah, hi, Repton. Nice to have you in from the UK. So you're also pretty late already. Any time difference, actually? So it's 10 minutes to 3 around here. And at your place, I don't know, do we have 1 hour of time difference to the UK? I'm never sure about that. Okay. Enotic, alright, that's great. So, always happy to have a follow, but don't feel pushed. Just nice to have you in the stream. So, have a good day and a good weekend then. Maybe we can see for the next stream. I'm definitely gonna do another late night stream on Saturday night. Okay, yeah, okay, so we have 1 hour of time difference. The target is still too far for... It's still too far for actually making it stop. It's a coaster, isn't it? Right. Yeah, look at that. It's a coaster. It's this one. What's the typical velocity? I don't know. My guess is that they're moving with 8 knots. And yeah, I'm not gonna torpedo it right now. That might give me quite some incidents.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Yeah, okay, alright. Maybe you figure out how it works. I would be curious how it actually works to get pictures. If you could get pictures into the stream. By the way, guys, I just have to get me a little bit of a snack. So allow me please to pause the game. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. So if I speed down now. Save the game. And now I have to man the radio.
Funkraum besetzen.
And what about interact with them? Send a delegation to the freighter. Yeah, let's do that. Having Mr. Grade. Mr. Arles. And Mr. Trummel. And 6 hands. And there they go. So now they should be stopping. So let us
Alle
stop
Maschinen, stopp!
just as well. There they are getting over. And ask the captain for the shipping documents. So according to the documents, his ship is directed to the port of Lisbon and is transporting food. So let's put some pressure on them and state that the documents are false. So we could doubt that this is typical cargo for Lisbon. We can do that because one of our crewmates here on board has a merchant skill. The captain explains that this cargo is actually completely common. He seems to be right. What about the course? Doesn't look like they are traveling to the port of Lisbon. And he says that everything is alright. So, what can we do? Search the cargo hold, actually. So, guys, allow me to be AFK while they are searching the cargo hold. Let me get one little snack. Alright guys, back again. Thanks for your patience. And now, yeah, I still have a cold pizza. Actually, on Friday evenings, I used to bake pizza for the family. And there's one piece left. And I'm gonna have it right now. It's pretty alright, even though it's cold. Yeah, let's accelerate time. Let's see what we get. This is usually pretty undecisive. Nothing suspicious was found. View the transported goods. Yeah, okay, there is ammunition, but that's probably ammo for their own guns. What about that course? If I do extrapolate it, yeah, it could well be that they're going for Portugal. Could well be. So under these circumstances, I would not like to sink the guy. Yeah, okay guys, let's return to our ship and let's report that inspection to the headquarters.
Funktelegramm gesendet.
Halbe Fahrt voraus. Kurs setzen.
And let's continue our patrol.
Kurs setzen.
Yeah, so what would we do? Carrying on
Kurs setzen.
our patrol in this area. So, if I look at the time, it just turned 3 o'clock around here. Yes, acquiescing. I am snacking. So this time I'm having a pizza. Remainings from dinner. And oh, nice. Yeah, that's nice. Coincidence. Yeah, as for us, we always have dinner. Sorry, we always have pizza for dinner on Fridays. And yeah, what I just wanted to say is that it is getting pretty late by now. Okay, there is an ad coming up. Yeah, so let's wait for the end of the app, of the ad, to say a proper goodbye. Okay, and they can't. Twitch just doesn't get it done. Okay, I never quite understand this systematics of the ads, I have to admit. So I thought there was an ad going on right now, but I don't know. On the other hand, I know sorry. I shouldn't talk and eat at the same time. I just needed a little snack in between. Okay, all right, I think the ad is over. So guys, I want to say good night, but I see that one of my favorite DayZ streamers is actually online. Last time, well, the guys that we joined, that was just a try. Some new guys who were also joining my Twitch streams. But this guy here, I really like him. He's also a small streamer, but yeah, doing quite some nice things on DayZ, and he's pretty fond of similar servers. So actually the server that I'm often playing on DayZ, I think he's one of the organizers of these servers. And yeah, let's pay him a little visit and end this stream with the raid of Mr. Fresh Z. Okay, guys, it was a pleasure to have you. I'm definitely gonna do another stream tomorrow again. Same time, late night. And yeah, let's do the raid. And have a good night, have a good evening, have a good afternoon. There we go.
Hot dog in a hallway. Josh Slocum, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in with that raid, Josh. Hope your Friday evening, early Saturday morning is going well. Just found some drop loot. Everything I've ever wanted. More. Let's go back quick. U-boat stream, nice.